MJF turns heel, but why? So
Why?
he comes in 2 weeks ago, pay-per-view. Some very just interesting for various reasons. He comes on a pay-per-view a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a few weeks ago. He confronts Adam Cole, who's still not ready to return to wrestling. He basically puts paid to the Devil Mask storyline where he was going to get revenge, and then they were both hurt, and then it just like faded into just dust. So it was just so basically just killed that old storyline straight away. And then he comes back, he challenges Daniel Garcia to Wembley Stadium all-in pay-per-view. And then the next week, this being the Wednesday just gone, tell us what happens, Dutch.
Well, I think, doesn't he lose a match to Osprey?
He does.
And in comes MJF being the big brother type and saying, it's okay. And of course, the little guys, he's all torn up, and then they hug and he holds his hands up, and people said, oh, what a great competitor he is. And he's helping the guy. And then he just kicks him in the nuts. And that was it. He just kicks him in the nuts, and that's about it. But for no reason. I don't know why. Does that turn him heel? I mean, wouldn't you have done that with a higher tier talent? That's what I would have done. Does it make me want to see MJF get his ass kicked? No, not really. It's just something they did in wrestling. And now it's going to require another week to kind of repair the damage they did on this show, or to shoot the other angle wherever they intended it for it to go. So, Tony, you need help, kid. You really need help booking these shows. And I've said, how many times have I said this? It's not the first move you make. It's the second move that is as important as the first one. You look at the Bloodline story. They have, every time they have elevated something, it was big. Take the Paul Heyman thing, going through the table, and him saying, and he's turning down the Bloodline. He don't want to be with them anymore, and he got his ass handed to him. Plus, he went through the table. But that is a fair payoff for what we've gone through, and we knew it was coming. That's the beauty of it. You got to kind of telegraph something is coming. We don't know what, but we know it when we see it, and they did a great job in that. And I'll talk about that just a little bit later, because it's a great, great job. Because that's the way they used to leave it like that on Raw all the time. They used to leave a cliffhanger. So what happened? And they've had some good ones too. The car blowing up, I remember that one still. And I remember the shot with Austin and Pillman. I remember that.
In your booking years, we're going to get back to this MJF thing, because it's pretty fascinating why they would have done this so early. But what are the main good reasons to turn a wrestler heel? The two I can think of is there's a motivation that makes sense, or the fans are booing them anyway, or they're losing steam and they need to jumpstart their sort of character again. So what are good reasons to turn a wrestler?
Well, he was losing steam anyway because of the way they presented him.
But they only presented him. There's only 2 weeks worth of presentation, and they managed to kill off his steam. How did they do
kidding
that?
Well, that's called speeding it up. Really speeding it up. And I just think they went about it wrong. I mean, if nothing else, see, they tried to do the interviews, but they did them in the ring, and they made them too long. I think it would have been better MJF just doing an interview with one of their commentators and have them saying this stuff. You'd have got the same effect with it, I think. But you would have to actually take this whole mess and sit it down with the creative team around you and say, we got to salvage this. And it takes time. I think what Tony's trying to do, he's trying to make these guys superstars overnight. Not happening. Not happening. First of all, he picked the wrong time to try to compete with WWE. they're that the hottest they've ever been. So when people watch AEW, it's just alternative viewing. That's what they watch it for, because some people are so enamored and so addicted to wrestling. And there is such a thing called wrestling addicts. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't know how to compete. He really doesn't. The wrestling won't do it. It's the story, and the story has to go deeper than what their talent level allows them to do.
A couple more things I want to mention here is, I've said this about AEW before, I'm sure you'll agree, is that they basically have a roster full of mid-carders. Everyone seems to be in the mid-card. There's no real tiers, essentially, or as well defined as WWE's at least. And there's two examples I'm going to give you. One, MJF is feuding with Daniel Garcia. That's not elevating Daniel Garcia. That's just bringing MJF down. And
it's not really helping Garcia, really, because he's just there to be fed to the wolves.
No one thinks he's going to beat MJF. So
no, at all.
And here's
because if he did beat him, now you kill both of them. You actually kill Garcia because he's not moving up. I remember the guy they had not too long ago, and they started him out pretty good and was pushing him, and all of a sudden he just disappeared.
Wardlow. He was
not
the guy.
Wardlow.
Oh,
not Wardlow, and he's won too.
Yeah, he beat MJF and then disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually win and be thrown into swamp. Nobody ever sees you again for about 2 months. It's not how you get somebody over.
Powerhouse Hobbs? You like the big muscly black guy? Was it him?
Yeah, they could do a lot with him.
He's gone. He's injured himself, so he's disappeared for the future.
Well, I don't know what kind of injuries they're working through, but I think this was just done this back asswards.
One more thing I'm going to bring about the mid-card theory is Samoa Joe was AEW World Champion. He loses the belt, and then what does he do? He is now a bit part player in the Hook versus Chris Jericho feud.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes from champion to just somewhere in the middle. Now, MJF has done the same thing. He was champion, he comes back, and now he's just somewhere in the middle. And that's it.
Well, I'm not going to tell him what to do. All I can say is, whatever you're doing, Mr. Khan, it's not working.